Good afternoon, everyone. Um, it's me, Monroe, for Monroe Mayhem, and I just want to talk about um, awareness with child abuse in the Black community because I don't think there is much awareness when it comes to child abuse. When I was about 13 or 14, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think I was around 14. I went to a counselor. I built up the nerve to go to a counselor because I was being abused at home. And I just got sick and tired of it. Um, there are many different kinds of abuse. There's verbal, physical, psychological, and mental abuse. At that time, I was dealing with all four. And mind you, I didn't know I was dealing with all four because at 14, all I know was that I was always getting beat up a lot at home by my parent, my mother. So I got up the nerve to talk to a counselor. And the counselor said, "Why do you think your mother beats on you?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." I remember like it was yesterday. And I said, "Well, I don't know." And she said, "Well, what do you do?" And I said, and I gave her some examples of why I was being beat, which was like little to nothing. So she told me, she said, "Well, maybe if you would just be good, your mother won't beat you. Maybe if you would, make sure you remember to put the clothes in the hamper or wash the dishes." She was just giving some examples. And I remember feeling like so helpless and hopeless. So then she said, "Well, I'll just let you go ahead and see the nurse." And the nurse said, "Well, I don't see any bruises on you. So I don't know. I don't see any bruises." So obviously it's like if they don't see any bruises, if they didn't see any bruises, then it didn't happen. Now, mind you, this is like in like the late 90s, like I want to say 98, 99. So I felt hopeless, I felt helpless, and they sent me home anyway. They never they never contacted a social worker. They never contacted anybody else. And I say this because the golden rule in in the African American family's household is what goes on in this house stays in this house. And that's the one rule that causes many African American children to be beaten and wind up dead. Every day on the news is always at least a child anywhere in the world, somewhere around America, that's dead from being beat to death or being hit one too many times too hard. So I'm saying all of this to say, if you know something, if you know that a child is acting weird or there are bruises on a child, please just say something. It's not called being a snitch. It's not called being nosy. It's called it's just basically you're looking out for a child, And it's really not a lot of African American nonprofit organizations or African American spokespeople for child abuse. So it's like and I say this because, which is why I'm trying to do what I'm trying to do as far as build awareness. Because if an African American child see me, they'll think, "Oh, okay, well, she looks like me and she's dealing with the same thing, so I'm not alone. I'm not by myself." So I made this video and this was on my heart because as I was at work today and I just got off. I'm actually have to go back, but I just decided to come home and relax and just speak to you guys. But I say all of this because as I was at work and I was on a computer, it was a lot of news links about children dying from their parent abusing them or a loved one abusing them, and the signs were there. Like people, when the child was dead, that's when people want to come forward and say, oh, well, she used to come to school with raggedy clothes on, or she used to come, she would be outside on the playground and she had a black eye. Why did you wait? Why are you just now saying something? Say something. It's always good to say something beforehand. It's always good to say something beforehand. It takes a village to raise a child. And it does not mean that, oh, if a child is acting up, you can go and you can become the parent then. It means you're caring as a village for the well-being of that child. So that's all. That's what I wanted to share with you today. And thank you for listening. Have a good day.